You're sitting there, staring at your phone. They've left you on red again. The room is quiet, but your mind isn't. You replay everything. The last conversation, the tone, the distance. They were right there, but somehow not really there. And you feel it again. That sinking, familiar feeling. Why does this keep happening? Am I too much or not enough? Why do I always end up here? Is love just supposed to hurt like this? Here's the truth nobody told you. You don't attract toxic people by accident. You attract what your nervous system already recognizes as familiar, even when it hurts you. You're not failing at love, and this is not proof you're broken or unlucky. Every emotionally aware person who has ever loved deeply has stood exactly where you are right now. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this keeps happening, what your patterns are really protecting you from, and how to finally shift the kind of people you keep pulling into your life. Let's get into it. Most people believe they attract toxic relationships because of bad timing, bad luck, or bad partners. But the real truth is far more uncomfortable and far more freeing. You don't attract toxic people because something is wrong with you. You attract them because your nervous system is trying to recreate what feels emotionally familiar, even if it's painful, even if it drains you. Because familiarity feels like safety to the brain, even when it isn't safe at all. And here's what nobody explains. In relationships, your nervous system reacts faster than your logic ever will. It reads tone, distance, inconsistency, emotional availability before you've even had time to think. So when you meet someone unpredictable, inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, part of you doesn't immediately run. Part of you leans in because it recognizes the pattern. And this is where toxic cycles are born, not from lack of love, but from two nervous systems that learned different definitions of connection. One learned to chase it, the other learned to withdraw from it. And suddenly, you're not in a relationship anymore. You're in a cycle, a loop, a push and pull that feels like love, but slowly drains safety out of the connection. Familiar doesn't mean healthy. Most people in relationships confuse emotional familiarity with emotional safety. You don't question what feels familiar, you repeat it, because your brain says, I've been here before, so I know how to survive this. But here's the deeper truth. Your nervous system doesn't choose what's best for you. It chooses what it knows how to handle. So if chaos was normal growing up, calm can feel suspicious. If love came with unpredictability, consistency can feel boring or even unsafe. One partner says, I miss you when you pull away, I just want clarity. The other says, I need space, I feel overwhelmed when you come closer. Same moment. Two nervous systems reacting differently. And when you start recognizing familiarity without mistaking it for love, something shifts inside you. And that's when relationships stop feeling like survival and start feeling like peace you can actually stay inside. The chasing cycle. Here's the part no one talks about. Most couples don't fall apart because of lack of love. They fall into a cycle of pursuit and withdrawal. One person chases connection, the other protects distance. Not because they don't care, but because their nervous systems are overloaded in different ways. What's really happening underneath is this. One feels anxiety and says, come closer. The other feels pressure and says, back away. She thinks, if I try harder, they'll finally stay. He thinks, if I pull away, I'll finally feel calm again. I just need you to show up for me, she says. I am showing up, I just need space to breathe, he replies. And slowly, both start feeling unseen. And when you finally see this pattern clearly, you stop blaming the person and start understanding the cycle. And that's when the cycle begins to lose its power over you. Silence isn't neutral. Most people think silence in relationships is neutral. It's not. Silence is emotional communication. It either says, I feel safe with you, or I don't know how to deal with this, so I'm disappearing. What's happening beneath the surface is nervous system shutdown. One partner goes quiet not because they don't feel, but because they feel too much. The other interprets that silence as rejection. She thinks he doesn't care anymore. He thinks if I speak, it'll get worse. And suddenly, silence becomes distance. Distance becomes resentment. And resentment becomes emotional walls. Why aren't you talking to me? She asks. I don't know what to say without making it worse, he replies. And the shift happens when silence is no longer treated as absence, but as information. That's when connection starts coming back into the space between words. Emotional availability versus emotional capacity. Most people confuse emotional availability with emotional capacity. They are not the same. Someone can care deeply and still not have the capacity to show up consistently. Here's the truth. Emotional capacity is not about love. It's about regulation. If someone's nervous system is overwhelmed, they cannot stay present, even if they want to be. One partner says, "I'm here for you. I just can't do heavy conversations right now." The other hears, "So I don't matter to you." But in reality, what's happening inside is, "I care, but I'm drowning in my own internal state." And when you understand this difference, you stop personalizing every emotional limitation. And that's when pressure turns into understanding, and understanding creates space for real connection again. Repair changes everything. Most couples think strong relationships are built on never breaking. But the real truth is, strong relationships are built on repair, not perfection. Repair, because conflict is not the problem. Unrepaired conflict is. When two people don't come back together after emotional distance, the gap slowly becomes normal. But when they do repair, something powerful happens. "I didn't mean it like that. I was overwhelmed," one says. "Okay, I just needed to understand you," the other replies. And suddenly, the nervous system learns. Conflict is not abandonment. Disagreement is not danger. And that's when emotional safety starts rebuilding itself between you. Quietly. Naturally. Real. You don't need less love. You need safer love. Most people try to fix toxic relationships by trying harder. More explaining, more patience, more sacrifice. But here's what nobody explains. You don't fix toxic patterns with effort. You fix them with safety. Not louder conversations, not more texts, not emotional overgiving, but two people who finally feel safe enough to stop performing and start being real. "I don't have to chase you to feel close," she realizes. "I don't have to disappear to feel okay," he realizes. And when safety enters the relationship, the need to chase or run disappears on its own. And that's when love stops feeling like work and starts feeling like presence. You're not attracting them anymore. You're recognizing them. This is the shift that changes everything. Most people think they are attracting toxic people, but often you're recognizing familiar emotional patterns and calling them chemistry. It feels intense. It feels magnetic. It feels like something you've been missing. But intensity is not always connection. Sometimes it's just nervous system activation. And when you start slowing down your interpretation of intensity, you start seeing people for who they actually are, not who your patterns say they could be. "I feel drawn to them," you think. But now you pause and ask, or do I just recognize this feeling? And that pause changes everything, because awareness breaks repetition, and repetition is what kept the cycle alive. This isn't about becoming colder in love, it's about becoming clearer. You're learning to see patterns instead of just feelings. You're learning to recognize cycles instead of just chemistry. And that changes everything about the kind of relationships you allow into your life. Because now you don't just love, you choose. And when you choose from awareness instead of wound, everything shifts. Here's the truth to leave you with. You don't break toxic patterns by finding better people. You break them by becoming someone who no longer confuses intensity with intimacy. Love isn't what you fall into. It's what you finally learn to recognize.